I'm here in my living room, all dressed up. I'm wearing a sky blue dress and a orange tree in the background. I'm here honored to be hostessing the parent panel, Choices and Gold, National Convention for the Federation of the Blind. Woo! I'd like to tell you about myself. I'm a mother of two children, a son-in-law, and a grandma to a cat. Chantel just turned 36. Nathan is 24. Vic is 32. And the baby Laura is 15. My children are grown now. I'm now learning to be an adult for my children. When Nathan was young, I had to go to court with his father. I end up getting sole custody. When having my son, people would thought I couldn't be a mother because I was blind and deaf. I have Usher syndrome or P. These are common questions people say to people when they're blind. I had to prove that I could be a mother. Now I'd like to introduce you to my panelists. Elizabeth is a mother of teenage boys. Eric had just recently been a father to a little girl. Melissa has 3 children, 2 girls, and a son that's blind. Now, panelists, can you please tell me about yourself and your children?
So, hi, thank you, Nancy, for your hosting this wonderful panel. I think it's such an important opportunity for us to talk about being blind parents. It's a topic that's not really talked about enough, and I really thank you and Carrie for bringing it to public attention and for us to have this chance on the panel at the CFB Convention. So my name's Elizabeth Lalonde, and I live in Victoria, British Columbia. I am a very proud mom of 2 teenage boys. They're 13 and 16, actually both about to be 14 and 17 soon. It's hard to believe. I actually can't believe that I have a son who has his driver's license now, and it's pretty amazing. So I'm a single mom, so that has been challenging and wonderful. And my kids are really the most important thing in my life. So that's just a little bit about me.
Hi, my name is Eric. Thanks for having me on the panel. I am 39, and in the last 2 years, my wife, Brianna, and I got married, and we had our daughter, Jocelyn, who is now 10 months. And Brianna and Jocelyn are both sighted. I am blind. So for the Federation, I do a lot of technology and policy work and human rights stuff. One of the things that got me into Federationism was working on a child custody case with the National Federation of the Blind when I lived in the States part-time. And that's something that I hope never to have to do again. But it was good experience, and the outcome was really, after years of going through it, was really positive. And it's nice to know that if we ever need something like that again, I'll be able to actually help somebody.
So I'm Melissa. Thank you guys so much for letting me join on this panel. I have 3 kids, and my youngest son, Timothy, who just turned 2, was diagnosed with Leber congenital amaurosis. So he is blind, and that is why I'm here, just to talk about my experience with raising him and getting to hear everybody else's experience as a parent who is visually impaired, because one day my son might be a parent who's visually impaired. So I'm happy to hear everybody's experiences.
Thank you very much, you guys. Now, Elizabeth and Eric, when you take your children out and they ask you, but you're blind, how do you do it? What do you say to them? And how do you approach when people about your safety when you take them out?
So Elizabeth, yeah, so it's actually funny how people do ask questions, and I guess that's how people learn. I found that I had the questions more when the children were very little, and I honestly think it's because that's when they really realized, wow, that woman really must be taking care of her kids because they're so little. Whereas now my sons are teenagers. So I think, honestly, I think that a lot of people probably think that the kids take care of the blind parents, which is totally not how it goes. If anyone has little children, they know that it's parents are the parents, whether you have a disability or whether you don't. So I usually explain that being blind is a journey, and I've learned these techniques of being blind over my lifetime. And so it's really no different. Becoming a parent for me wasn't really any more challenging because I was blind. Just becoming a parent is challenging in and of itself. So I explained that just like I got through university and traveled Europe and got married and did all these things that I did, it's being a parent was just another challenge for me, and I would find techniques and ways of adapting to that. So I usually would give examples. My favorite example is when the kids were little, instead of pushing the stroller in front of me, obviously, because I can't see what's in front of me, I had a blind mom who is my mentor, Mary Ellen, who talked to me about using my cane and getting a stroller that I could pull. So that worked extremely well. And I always would pull my babies around in the stroller and went everywhere with them, shopping and took them swimming, did all sorts of things like that. And there's all sorts of little techniques that you can use, pinning bells onto your children's clothes so you can find where they are. It's also just being more interactive with usually climbing on the gym equipment or the playground equipment up the slide, because I wanted to always be hands-on and right there for them. So probably in the end, I ended up having more fun than the sighted moms who were usually sitting on the bench. So those are just a few examples.
Join the meeting.
Yeah. And Eric.
Hi, I Brianna and I usually go out together. The few times that Jocelyn and I have been out, just the two of us, or if Brianna goes into a store and Jocelyn and I stay out or whatever, the conversations so far have been really basic. People will walk up to us and go, oh, what a cute baby. How old is he? And then I'll say, she's 10 months. And they'll go, oh, I'm sorry. And they'll leave. So,
Oh my goodness.
there haven't really been those teachable moments yet. When, we're definitely doing things. I'm involved in making meals and feeding and diaper changing and walking the floor when needed, rocking her to sleep, and playing games with her. We're getting some new Braille books on Thursday, so we'll get a whole new slew of books that we can read. And so I really, I get to be pretty involved as a parent. And I haven't really had that curiosity. I can say, when I was out with my ex-girlfriend and her two children, we were both blind, and her two children were both sighted. That people were not very approach friendly. And so there were situations like where strangers would try to give candy and Bible tracts to the kids underneath the table so that the parents wouldn't know. And of course, we knew immediately. It's hard for the kids in that situation because they're uncomfortable. They've been, instructed not to talk to strangers. They know that a stranger shouldn't be talking to them. They know that a stranger should be talking to their parent. And they're uncomfortable with that. And the people, a stranger on the street is leveraging this, what they perceive to be a disadvantaged situation where the child is, has a parent who is blind. So that's hard for the kids, and you know, it's really, it's a little bit unfortunate that there aren't more of these sort of teaching moments where we can have real conversations about what blind people can do. The other day, we were sitting in a park, and I had Jocelyn, and we were playing on the swing, and there was a mother and daughter, or maybe grandmother and granddaughter beside us, and the daughter started asking about the white cane, and they had a whole conversation about it without me while I was standing right there. And I thought about interjecting myself into that conversation, but I was reluctant to do that because I was out having family time with my daughter. And, I wasn't sure, if, how that would play. So, I think I think the public is generally on our side, but they really, really just don't know what's appropriate and what's not. Our public education on blind parenting, especially in Canada, has been really, really neglected.
Thank you very much. Okay, Melissa, what do you do for safety for your
Donna Hudon.
And you have written about
Join the meeting.
Happiness is Blind. What do you hope to get from this for you and your reader and your son?
Hi. Okay, so for safety for my son right now, because he's only 2, it's pretty easy because I just can still keep him in a stroller, or I can carry him. But as he's getting a bit older and wanting to do more, I think the biggest thing is just going to be having to really keep my eye on him and make sure that me and whoever else is taking care of him and his siblings know just to help him out and let him know where things are. And I've been working on that with my oldest daughter, actually, is instead of saying like, oh, the park is over there, this is over there, it's right here, it's that. I'm like, nope, we need to learn the real direction so we can tell him specifically where something is, because if you just say, oh, the wall's right there, you might still run into it. You have to really be more descriptive. So that's for safety, that's what we're working on. For my blog page, I think what I wanted to get out of it was to create a network where I could talk with other people who either been through this experience of having a child get a diagnosis of LCA or something else, or just talk with other adults who are blind so that I can, kind of learn and figure out how I can best teach my son. And for my reader, what I wanted to get out of it was that when I started my page, it was because when I went through diagnosis with Timothy, I couldn't find anybody else's story or journey, nobody else I could connect with to say, hey, this is happening to me too. And I could use your help. How do I navigate this? So I wanted to kind of be that for somebody else who's going to go through this with their child, to just let them know it's okay. Once you get through this whole diagnosis part, it'll be okay. Your child will be okay. And yeah, that's basically why I started it.
I just wanted to respond to what you were saying. Your project, your work just sounds so interesting, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. I would just like to encourage you to definitely talk to blind adults and older blind children, and really keep that network going. I'm really glad that you've been introduced to the Federation, because there's a wealth of resources available to you, not just the Canadian Federation of the Blind, but our sister organization in the States, the National Federation of the Blind, has a wonderful Parents of Blind Children group, and they're very active, and they put out publications. Future Reflections is their main publication, and there's just I can't even emphasize enough how much information and resources there are actually out there. So if you need more assistance finding that, just please let us know. And I think the most important message is that blind children are just like any other children, and I was a blind child. I've always been blind. So the most important thing is to really let them explore. Often parents will be so I get really nervous about the word safety. I don't like using it because there's too much safety around blindness. The problem is we need to have people stop worrying about our safety. In fact, they over worry about our safety, and it actually makes me so angry. I get very frustrated when people are, you're going to fall, you're going to fall. There's a step 10 million feet away from you. There's a pole, you're going to walk into it. It's, and I always say, well, you know what? Just let me be in my own environment. That's why we always say it's essential that a white cane is used, a long white cane, no matter, even when the children are small, that get them using it, even if they just use it a little bit every day, because it's important that it becomes a part of them and about how they navigate their environment. And you can't navigate your environment very well unless you have a cane, because you're not going to go into that wall if you're using your cane. And it's really important that kids blind children are empowered to, like I said, they may go the wrong way. We do that. That's what we do when we're blind. We sometimes walk the wrong way, but then we're like, oh, okay, well, that was interesting. Now I'm going to go back. I'll go the other way. And so it's really about an exploration. So, obviously there has to be safety. I'm not saying there doesn't, but within reasonable bounds. And then that the child needs to be able to have that liberty that they can do that. But anyway, I guess the challenge with this is that blind parenting and parents of blind children are very different things. So like Eric and I are talking about being blind parents, and that's a whole different ballgame than being parents of a blind child, which you can actually be both too. You can be a blind parent of a blind child. But I wanted to mention something I didn't mention when I was speaking earlier, is now my children are older and they know how ill-informed, shall we say, a lot of people are about blindness in general, about blind parenting. So they're so used to it, they get it. My kids get it. And to them, blindness is so normal to them. And they've been raised with blindness. It's just not a big deal at all, which is so wonderful. I mean, they treat me like they would treat any other parent, to the point where they'll actually leave stuff all over the house, which is like, don't all teenagers do that? And, you might say, oh, that's so inconsiderate. And it might be in general, and it is, but in some ways I value that because they don't really think of me like I'm different. Oh, mom will figure it out. They're always like, oh, mom will figure it out or whatever. And now that doesn't mean they're not there. They do help me too. But there's also that piece that I wanted to emphasize, that it's just normal for them. I think the sweetest thing one of my sons said to me once when he was little and I was walking him to school, and he said, Mom, how come there aren't any other blind moms at the school? And I always remember that. I remember putting it on Facebook because I thought, oh, that is so sweet. Because it's normal. Like, why aren't there any other blind moms at the school? Like, that's weird. To him, that was just weird because his mom was blind. So she had a white cane, and and they even wanted to have a white cane when they were little, which I thought was kind of cute because they wanted to be like me. But so they just like kids want to be like their parents and stuff. So I thought that was cute. So I wanted to tell you about that. But anyway, I've been talking a lot, so I'll pass it along to Eric.
Okay, go ahead, Eric. Are you there? What kind of fun do you do with your children?
For fun?
Yeah.
Well, Jocelyn's 10 months.
Yeah.
So it's only been, in the last, I mean, we've always read to her. Mm-hmm. And Brianna and I brailled some books. The quality of our work wasn't really the greatest, but they're here, and we can use them. And so it's only been in the last 2 or 3 months that she's really started going and discovering stuff. She has more possessions in our apartment than Brianna and I do, particularly toys. So right now she's at the stage where she's trying to pull herself up. So we have some table toys for her, or some stand toys. that have very like activity centers that have different types of puzzles and things on them, like beads and doors that open and close and giant buttons that you push that make a noise. And it's all, you know, we hold her up while she navigates whatever's in front of her and explores it and tries to do all of the activities that are, you know, within her reach. And you know, we work on like little concepts like push and pull and you know, and spin and open and close, and we just talk to her and let her play and explore. That's the stage she's at right now. She loves food. She's discovering new foods all the time. She loves cheese.
Okay, relax. Just relax.
And it's just it's just really a fun time, like a really discovery driven type of time right now, where something new just seems to be happening kind of every day. You know, we are even taking her to the park. We put her on the swings. She likes the swings, but she hasn't seen many of her own kind. So she sits. I don't know if hopefully I'm in the video, but she sits on her swing with her head fully winched around to the side and her chin pointed over her shoulder, looking at the baby in the other swing beside her, and she's just so transfixed. So yeah, she's had some teasers on the swings and the slides, and you know, before long she'll be running around the playground equipment and owning it. You know, we'll do everything. We'll do sports when she's older, if she wants to go tobogganing or skiing or ice skating, or you know, we'll do music if she wants to do that. There's plenty of musical instruments around the house, both real and toy. We'll do cooking if she wants to. I run the kitchen in our house. I do most of the cooking because I love it, and I like to you know, can and brew beer and do all kinds of stuff in the kitchen. So maybe she'll get into it with me. You know, we'll let her follow her own path, but we have enough background, you know, in this, that, or the other thing, that we can really provide like meaningful cross section of experiences for her to try and see what she likes and what she doesn't.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Now, Melissa, how about you?
Yeah, just like Elizabeth was saying before, like a blind child, it's really just a child. So we do all the same things for fun with all of our children. We love to go to the park. Timothy loves the swing. It's like hilarious to him. I always try to catch the swing when he gets close to me, and then he'll use his feet to push, and then I let him go, and he thinks he's off doing it himself, and it's so much fun for him. He loves music, so he'll play his little piano, and his sisters will sing little songs to it and make up songs. Or right now he's really into Baby Shark, so he'll sing that for everybody.
That's cute.
We just do lots of playing together, playing with toys, and he also likes to climb up the couch and try to jump off, which isn't my most favorite game, but he enjoys it. So.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, I'm, by the way, I'm 60 years old. So I love traveling with my children, and I love being in the kitchen with Nathan because he loves cooking. But he said, "Mom, you're making a mess. Go in the living room." So I like to do things with my children, but because we're older now, I feel that I'm getting left out. Or are we going traveling and they keep saying, "Nathan, your wife, wait for your wife." I go, "No, he's my son." I got to realize that just because I got a cane, he's not driving me around. It just, and then for identifying, because my children who I travel with, I lose my children because I don't know what they're wearing. And apparently I went to Dallas and I lost my son at the airport for 4 hours. I got scared. I didn't even know what he was wearing. He ended up wearing black pants and a red top, just like what they were wearing. So I thought, oh, that's one thing I have to do, find out what you're wearing. And when it comes to report card, make sure you hear what you write, because my son was forging my name and I thought he was passing. I was taking him around the world, and guess what? He was failing. So I learned now to use my phone to tell me what kind of, if he's passing or failing.
Awesome.
That's what I do. And I want to make sure that, that our safety is, when he was younger, that I put door locks for everything, because I got scared that he would run out and, things like that. And with the cat, I would have to make sure that she's around me, or I would have to make sure there's something in front of the door so she doesn't leave, like screams and everything else. Yeah, those are the things that I love doing. And I'm proud that I have wonderful children, but I wish I can do more things with them. But now they're getting older and they don't want to hang around with mommy anymore. Well, that's it. Well, thank you everyone for coming on board.
Could I say one more thing?
Okay, go ahead.
Is there time? Well, there might not be, but I'll just say it anyway.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, when I said earlier that my son got his driver's license, that's an experience you think, well, a blind parent couldn't really be very involved in that, because I know nothing about driving. I've never driven. Like I said, I've always been blind, so it was never in my thought process that I could drive. But the coolest thing was when he doesn't like tests. He gets very nervous, and so I knew that if he was going to pass the written test, he'd have to really know the stuff. So I found an app on my phone for learning to drive, and I was actually able to read with him using my voiceover on my phone the entire book. I went through it with him, every single page, and we studied for like 2 months, and every day, and he knew the stuff. And I sure knew the stuff after that. I could have probably passed the written test, but and so I helped him with that part, which I always really treasure that. And now, of course, his dad and my mom and my boyfriend, they are actually driving with him in that sense, part of it. But I was there at the foundation, and I just thought that really illustrates how you can be involved in so many different ways. Sometimes you don't even think at first, how could I be involved with that? So it's just, sometimes being a blind parent, just like being a parent in general, just involves creativity.
What I learned by taking Nathan to all my conventions, so he got to meet a lot of blind people. Yes. Like you said, I didn't feel like there was a lot of blindness around us. That's why I did my convention for the blind people, so I could meet people in Burnaby, BC. And Nathan actually loved it. He wanted to keep going. I go, Nathan, and you know what the sad thing is? I had to learn to let go of my son. I wanted him to come everywhere. I took him out of his doctor's to my doctor's appointment. I took him everywhere. So now he wanted to go to Greece, and I had to go to Vegas. And I said, oh, Nathan, I really need you. But you know what? I let him go, and I went to Vegas all by myself with 2 blind guys, and I had a ball. I didn't need to guide my son everywhere where I had to go, right? I had to learn to do things on my own.
You learned so much, Nancy.
Join the meeting.
For you guys for helping me, because if it wasn't for the Canadian Federation of the Blind, by watching you on TV, I would be a wreck. But I did get so custody of Nathan on my own, but then I learned a lot from you guys. And
awesome,
this makes us feel and grow. And now with the Going On Camp Society and the Pacific Training Center that you guys are doing, I'm on board, because I want to help as much as I can to reach everyone, to help each other. What do you think you would get out of this from this event?
Well, I guess having Jocelyn, she was planned. We both wanted to have children, and so it's the way it works out. You never know how it's going to work out, but you start out with this goal. I want to be a parent, and fortunately for us, it happened. And then, of course, we want Jocelyn to make good choices. We're doing our best to give her whatever we can to help her, learn and grow and make choices that are going to have the best possible impact for her life. We want her to choose the things that she's passionate about and follow them. We want to help her set goals that she can, meet, from one to the next, getting better and better every day. And, there's always a new choice every day.
Mhm.
And there's always a new goal. We want to make sure that whatever she sets herself to do, that those are things that are gonna, make her life better, and and maybe be a blessing to the people that she comes into contact with on a regular basis. We want our kid to grow up with a lot of heart and a lot of belief and passion for things and experiences, and that means just going out and trying to expose her to as many new things as we can, especially while she's young, and letting her decide what she likes and what she doesn't.
Thank you.
I can share. I think for me, choices and goals in terms of the convention and in terms of looking at my life right now would mean that I just want to do everything that I can to give Timothy as many choices as he needs, and all of my children, to reach whatever goals he sets for himself. So I want to make sure that I can make everything accessible to him so that he can do whatever he wants to do and accomplish whatever goals he sets.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Elizabeth?
Yeah, I guess for me, what struck me when I'm hearing about that theme is I'm thinking about the pandemic, for example, and how both of my children, I've taken them out of school and we're doing remote learning because I just feel that that's the safest way right now. And that has been such an amazing experience, being able to get to know my children through learning and teaching and growing with them. And I think what the pandemic and has taught, also for me, what blindness has taught me, what having children has taught me, everything that I've done in my life has taught me that sometimes when you plan something, in fact, a lot of times what you plan, it doesn't always go exactly how you plan it. And so life, I really believe, has taught me a lot of how to be adaptable and flexible. And the older I get, the more adaptable I actually believe that I become. And I feel like I'm teaching my children that sometimes you do plan and choose different things, but sometimes it doesn't work that way. And so we have to maybe make other choices and do other things. And I really feel that my children are extremely resilient. And I feel that that's a really important quality that they have. And of course, other than they're also very kind and compassionate, which is important too.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, my choices is I'm going to start learning to do Braille and learning to be independent. And I'm going to make sure that my goal is to help everyone out so they can all reach their goal. And that's what I would like to do. Well, thank you guys for coming on board. Thank you for all the panelists that came. And I hope we can all learn from one each other. And thank you for coming on board for this convention of choices and goals.
Fantastic job there, Nancy Gill, with your amazing parenting panel. And thanks so much to all the panelists there. Our next presentation is scheduled in 5 minutes with talk description to me. And I see Christine Malik has joined. I definitely think we should take a few questions from that presentation. I don't know if it's okay, Christine, to maybe push back maybe 5 minutes starting in 10 minutes from now or so. But I think it would be great to get a couple questions in at least. So.
all the panelists have co-host privileges.
Am I there?
Yes, we can hear you, Nancy.
Okay, thank you,
Currently no
everyone.
hands.
Thank you. Can I say something? I have 3 gift cards to my panelists, Elizabeth, Eric, and Melissa. Thank you, you guys. You did an awesome job. This is something that I've always wanted to do, paneling for parenting. I really appreciate for everyone for coming on board, and this is my appreciation. Thank you. And Carrie, I have a gift card here for $20 for Tim Horton. I wanted to buy lunch for their family or buy some donuts. Carrie, a gift card for saying thank you for helping me out, for having me do this panel, and you guiding me and being on my phone and learning. But I would like to say thank you, everyone. You guys did a wonderful job and allowing me to do something that I've always wanted to do.
Well, Nancy, it's Elizabeth here. I wanted to say how proud I am of you, and we've known each other for years, and the progress I've seen you make in your life is tremendous, and I really admire you, and I value you so much. I'm so glad you're in my life, and thank you.
Thank you. It is $20 gift card for you guys to go buy donuts for the children. I started crying when Sky was talking. I couldn't stop crying because it was a good panel this morning. The night when I heard the speech, I kept crying and crying. I go, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And today is Chantel's birthday, and I would like to wish her a happy birthday because every year we have a convention. It's always on her birthday. So happy birthday, Chantel. Thank you. I hope you're watching. And yes, thank you.
That's a great thing to do on the parent panel, is to say happy birthday to your own daughter.
I know, and I sharing because I wanted. I said, Mom, it's time for you to move on. We can't always guide you everywhere. And I now, now it's her. Now I'm trying to say, I love you, Chantel and Nathan and Aurora and Vic. Thank you, you guys. Thank you for allowing me to do this. I really, really appreciate it. I'm even wearing a chain my dad had given me when my mom passed away, and I put it on just now, and I go, oh my God, I know she's with me. And, I feel so good that I got to do this. Once again, thank you, you guys. Thank you, all the panelists and Carrie, and allowing me to do this.
All right. Do we have any questions? We have time for a couple at least here. If you're using your telephone, *9 to raise your hand, *6 to mute and unmute. On the computer PC, Alt+A to unmute and mute, and Alt+Y to raise your hand.
There is one hand, Anthony. I will unmute you.
Oh, there we go. Okay, let's see if I can make my jaw stop yammering. There we go. I'm not a parent, but I was really impressed with what I learned because I thought that education would be better for blind parents. So what can we as those who aren't parents do to kind of help the education along? That's basically what my question is. Thank you.
Oh, Elizabeth, that's a wonderful question. Actually, I think there's a lot of answers to it. What Nancy's done by bringing this panel here today, I think is a huge part of what we need to do is public education. So the more we talk about it, the more blind parents get out with their children and be seen, and the more our friends talk about it. I guess that's the only thing I can think of, is just really getting the word out, maybe making more focused education too, like this panel, or like writing articles and that sort of thing. I don't know, Eric, if you have any thoughts on that.
Well, I think for people that aren't parents themselves, if you want to be a parent, then it really helps to be involved with parents or children of any kind. Like my family is a very, very family oriented family, and so even from a very young age, 4, 5, 6 years old, my parents took me under their wing and they showed me how to be involved with kids. So I knew how to change a diaper. It's a little bit different now than it was back then. But I knew what baby food was and how to feed a baby. I knew what you could do with a baby and what you couldn't. Some of the very basic, safety things like protecting their head, and we were always involved. And so I think for anybody who aspires to be a parent who is blind, just look for ways to get involved. There are always plenty of nieces and nephews and cousins. Feel free to ask questions. You don't have to be a blind parent to stop and think about ways that people might be able to parent when they're blind. You just have to be interested in parenting and know something about blindness. So that's the main point that I would suggest, is just if you are a person who isn't a parent, and especially if you want to be, is just to get involved in children and just learn how the process works and just take an interest.
And definitely, and just I think my childhood, I was very lucky because I was raised with a mom who just knew I could do whatever I set my mind to, and she allowed me to do that. And I always wanted to be a parent. I always knew I did, and I never thought that I couldn't be. And I think that's what allowed me to be, that I never thought I couldn't be. And if you never think if you don't have, like Jenny was saying earlier, no limits. And so that was just what I was going to do. And then me being who I am, I didn't stop until I was able to have my children. And also having blind mentors is helpful too. So if any people want to become parents, there's a wealth of knowledge in all of us. We're all here to help each other. Mary Ellen, as I mentioned, was my mentor. And her and her husband are both totally blind, and they have 4 sighted children. And honestly, she was a rock for me when I was having my kids, and taught me all sorts of things. And mostly what she taught me was just knowing she was doing it, and that gave me so much confidence.
So I just want to interject here. We're running a little bit behind schedule here. We're 3 or 4 minutes behind time here. So I don't know. I see Christine Malik and JJ Hunt from Talk Description to Me, the podcast that we're having on a presentation coming up next, are here. I don't know if we have time maybe for a couple more questions. Maybe if they can let us know either in the chat or raise their hands if they're able to wait a few more minutes, or if we should maybe switch over right away. Because I see there's a lot of questions here, but we also have to remember everyone will be around through the convention. So please stay around. There's open chats. Christine says she has time. So maybe
I'm all good. I can wait too. Please
okay, great. Thanks, JJ. All right, let's have a couple more questions then. We gotta wrap it up sometime soon, just because we are a little bit behind. But let's have at least one or two more.
Brian Moore.
Oh, okay. You did it automatically. Cool. I'll be real quick. Thanks to all of you for doing that. I can't stress enough the last thing that Elizabeth said, that how important it is to have mentors of other, that are other blind parents. Because I was fortunate in that my ex-wife had been a parent before, but I, for one, didn't have a clue what I was doing. And she did. So that was very helpful. But it's also been helpful to have things like this and sort of informal groups. So there's an informal group of us that meet twice a month, and I'm happy to share that. I hear there's other ones, but I don't know how to connect us all, and that would be kind of a cool thing to do. So if anybody's into sort of regularly scheduled general chats with other blind parents, reach out to me and we'll fix it up. Okay, I'll stop talking because we want to go along.
I also just wanted to quickly add, I'm not sure if there's a Melissa in the chat, if Melissa from Happiness is Blind is here, if there's anything she wanted to add, or I just noticed a lot of other people been talking. So okay, I was just curious.
Yeah, I just had my microphone muted so that I wasn't having background noise while everyone was talking. Yeah, I'm really grateful that I got to be a part of it. I'm glad to hear everybody else's experiences. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to do it, was to just get to hear from other parents who are blind, because one day that might be my son, and it's great to see that he can do whatever he wants. If he would like to be a parent one day, he will be able to do that, and successfully. So it's great to hear from me, and it's great to get to be a part of this community, because I will learn the most from adults who are blind. Then I like to learn from other parents who are parenting blind children as well, but they won't know as much as someone who's actually experiencing it themselves. So it's great for me.
Yeah, I just want to say we really appreciate Melissa being on this panel, and everyone be sure to check out her blog. It's linked on the website agenda, but you can find it Happiness is Blind. And there's a great message in the chat right now. I think someone who might know Melissa, and it's very positive. Just that we've noticed too, we don't know her in person. We've had her on our show Outlook before, Carrie and I, but she's definitely, you have a great head on your shoulders and you're doing the right thing. So just keep it up and keep asking questions and reaching out to the CFB, because we're here for you and we're always here to help. So
We're so grateful, Melissa, and you could be a wonderful role model for so many other parents out there who need support. So we're very glad that you've joined us.
And can I hope one day I can do my own thing, parenting. I like to, do this all the time, meet other people that, we can help each other out, get involved, especially with the CFB, right?
all right, let's take one or two more questions and then we should probably move on.
Okay, just before we go, could I raise my hand and say something?
Absolutely.
So I am Mary Ellen Gabias's daughter. My name is Joanne Gabias, and I think that the most important thing that you can do is to bring your family to convention. I know a lot of people here are here by themselves, but I think making convention and making those your kids, sighted or blind, your family come and make them be a part of it so that they can make those connections and really embrace that. And, everybody needs somebody who understands what you're going through. And I think what happened when I was going to national convention, I made a lot of friends who had blind parents, and we got to just be normal, and we got to share those lived experiences. So I really think that it's important. And Nancy mentioned bringing her son. And I know that Elizabeth has brought her sons as well. And I think it's really an investment into their future as well, to be able to bring them and give them that community. So the next hand is Gabrielle.
Oh, hi. I'll try to be quick and cram it in. Actually, speaking of what you said, my mom was here, but she had to go, unfortunately, but I thought she'd be a great contributor. Because you guys were even advising in the speeches and such. I have Peter's anomaly, and I'm the first blind person in my family. It's not genetic, I'm just the beginning of the chain. So it's Peter's anomaly, aniridia, and glaucoma, which other than glaucoma are all really rare. And unfortunately, there was no one at the time for my parents to connect with that they knew of. The doctors didn't even have connections either. So my mom just started keeping literally taking notes of everything that happened, because there was one other family in Canada that had the same conditions as me, but the parents refused permission to speak with them or their child and get to know them. So that's why my mom kept a notebook on it. And just in the past year, I joined a Facebook group on the Peters anomaly condition. And unfortunately, those of us who do have the condition are actually what's a more informal term of persecuted, intolerated, I don't know. Anyway, they really don't like us in that group. It's a lot of parents to these children, and whenever us with the condition speak out, some of the Peters anomaly people are parents, some of them are children, and the parents even have PA children also, and a lot of the mothers who aren't blind start accusing us with the condition, saying they don't want us to break their bubble. They don't want our advice. They say we're being pessimistic, ruining their lives. And yeah, that's all I just kind of wanted to throw in there.
Thank you. Wow.
And there's one.
It's Elizabeth. I'm really glad though, Gabby, that you are doing that and you are going into those quote bubbles, because it's so important to educate people. And yeah, sometimes people don't want to know. They just don't want to know stuff. But you know, you're a wonderful advocate and educator, and don't ever stop doing that. So.
We have one hand left.
Okay, this is the last question. And you remember, later on in the convention, we have open chats. We will keep reminding you about those, but there'll be more chances to connect with these parents and in the future. So let's go for one more.
Maggie, muted.
If you can make it quick.
Okay, yeah. I need to do that. Yeah, I just want to encourage anybody, you know, who has the inclination to do it and the time to do it. We really do need a Parents of Blind Children support group here at the Canadian Federation of Blind, or Blind Parent Support Group, either way, or both. I'm not really sure how we would do that, but I think if there's the interest, because I know there seems to be quite a bit of interest, but I'd stand behind that. If anybody wanted to take that on, I'd stand behind it, because it's so important. And I know that a lot of the NFB chapters have it, have Parents of Blind Children, and they have blind parents. So, I mean, there's lots of nights in the month that don't get used up by meetings. So we need to, you know, I'm sure that the CFB would be happy to allow the Zoom account to be used for something like that. And I would totally, I'm not a parent myself, but I love kids and I would like to be one at some point. I would totally get behind that if somebody wanted to do that. They'd have my support.
Absolutely. And I think I was muted when I said it, but we're so glad, Melissa, that you came we're so happy that you're here, and you would be a wonderful role model for so many other parents that have blind children that need support. So thank you.
Great.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.